Renee Marshall reporting for us. Thanks, Renee. Let's dig a little bit deeper right now. Congressman Peter King, Republican of New York, is joining us. He's a key member of the House Homeland Security Committee and the Intelligence Committee. Congressman, I spoke with Mark Regev. He's the spokesman for the Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. He insists, as other Israeli officials insist, there's no real danger flying in and out of Ben Gurion Airport. Do you agree or disagree?
No, I certainly understand where Israel is coming from. I understand their disappointment. I can even understand their anger. But again, the FAA has to put American interests first, and I believe that the security analysis is the best thing to do. I regret that it has to be done, and if anything, it should show us how dangerous Hamas is and why we should not be getting in the way of Israel when it attempts to go after Hamas and finish what they have to do. So again, I understand Israel's anger at this, but again, we have to protect Americans. I think, though, the president and the administration have to make it clear, as this does go forward, that this is not in any way going to be used as a wedge against Israel. So, John Kerry has to watch what he says. The president has to make it clear that he's not showing any equivalency here between Israel and Hamas, because that, I think, puts the good faith of the United States in question. But at the moment, I believe the FAA has the obligation to make sure that Americans are safe in view of the fact that rocket did come so close to the airport.
Well, here's a question, though. Based on what you know, and you're privy to a lot of sensitive information, was the FAA's decision based strictly on that one rocket getting through Israel's Iron Dome system and landing about a mile or so away from Ben Gurion Airport, destroying that home? Or are there other threats out there that we may not necessarily know about that influence the FAA?
Well, I've not received a briefing on it, but I would say it's probably the accumulation of events, particularly, put it this way, culminating in the rocket attack that fell short. But again, considering how vicious the fighting is getting in the Middle East, and looking back at what happened in Ukraine, I think the FAA decided it was better to be safe than sorry. But again, I would hope that the security report is done, or security analysis is done, and if it does conclude that the airport is safe, that flights can resume, because we can't allow Hamas and other terrorists to score these type victories. Again, we have to look out for American safety and security, but we have to also make sure that we're not giving any unintended or unnecessary victory to Hamas. And also, again, I can't emphasize enough how important it is that we not try to hold Israel back as it goes forward against Hamas. And I really disagree with the administration's people, such as Ben Rhodes, who say that Israel has not done enough to protect civilians. Considering the nature of that war, considering what's going on, and considering what happens in any war, I think Israel has gone above and beyond what has to be done, and we should not be undermining Prime Minister Netanyahu as he goes forward.
That whole point about Israel going too far, we heard that earlier in the day from former Secretary of State Madeleine Albright. She said that there was a question of proportionality. Now, Ben Rhodes, the Deputy National Security Advisor for the President, he told me just a little while ago that the Israelis could do better in pinpointing, if you will, what they're doing. You're saying you're satisfied with the actions Israel has taken. Is that what you're saying?
I am satisfied with the actions Israel has taken, and I'm very, very disappointed in the words coming from the administration to have Ben Rhodes basically undermining Israel in the midst of its war. On the one hand, they're saying Israel has the right to defend itself, but on the other hand, in effect, they're saying they're going too far. That's wrong. They're doing what they have to do. And I would hope these statements by Madeleine Albright and Ben Rhodes are not part of a concerted administration effort to undermine Israel, to weaken their position, to get them to the bargaining table. Israel should be allowed to do what it has to do to protect itself. If we were being attacked from Mexico and Canada, we certainly would, and we wouldn't want third parties coming in and telling us not to.
All right, Peter King, the member of the Homeland Security Committee, the Intelligence Committee, thanks very much for joining us.
Well, thank you.
Just ahead, we'll have the latest on the investigation into the downing of Malaysia Flight 17, including growing international anger over what one world leader